Assalamu alaikum, family. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks, and I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. And today we are going to be talking about how repetition changes our reality. So be a friend, tell a friend, tune in, and I'll be right back after a few short commercials and a beautiful prayer.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. You're tuned into the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talk, and I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk about how repetition changes our reality. You know, during my coaching sessions, if you book me, whether it's money psychology, emotional intelligence, I'm going to work on helping you to discover the pattern or the thought or the behavior or whatever it is that you're repeating that is keeping you in the reality timeline or in the reality space that you are praying to get up out of. I see so many people go around the mulberry bush. They're doing all these programs, but they got that one thing that they consistently do or they consistently think that is keeping them in the reality that they've been stuck in for years. This is why you see great people, amazing people, good people who are unable to manifest even the lifestyle that they want. And they say, and I see other coaches like this, people who are, and I say, you know what, you got something that you're repeating. You got a repetitive pattern that is playing in your brain that you have to change. So people oftentimes ask me in interviews, they say, what would you say is that one consistent thing? And I say, there are a number of consistencies. One of them that I've used, I told y'all, since I was 4 years old, which is meditation, which is why on Monday mornings we do Sajdah's Monday morning motivation and meditation. So join us at 6 a.m. And I'm all about reprogramming my mind so that I can be, have, and do what it is that I want. And that's been the key. If I'm working on something, I say, okay, what is the pattern? What am I locking into? I may be talking about something too much. It may be me being too concerned about somebody else and their view of whatever it is that I'm doing. There's that kind of thing as well. Have you ever had where somebody or a group of people that you love so much and you really want them to support you and you really want them to be there for you, but you're hurt because they're not? And if you continue to wallow in that hurt, continue to think about that hurt, guess what? That is a repetitive behavior that is impacting your reality. And in essence, when you begin to worry over and over and over again about why those people don't like you or why they are the way they are or why he left you or why she don't love you, whatever, if you begin to worry about that, and then you start dissecting what it is about yourself that they don't like. Maybe I'm too heavy. Maybe I'm too thin. Maybe I'm too dark. Maybe I'm too light. You start going through all of this. And guess what? You literally are taking whatever they think about you and putting it over on yourself. And now you are manifesting according to what they think about you, because you're crying and worrying about it is creating a repetitive behavior that's changing your reality. This is powerful stuff. Let's get into this a little bit. Okay, let's first begin by defining repetition. See, repetition is the act of doing, saying, thinking, or experiencing something over and over again. It is the consistent recurrence of a thought, a word, a behavior, an action, and it consistently recurs until it becomes familiar, until it becomes automatic, and until it becomes influential. Repetition is one of the primary ways that we as human beings learn. It's how children learn language, musicians master instruments, athletes develop skills, leaders cultivate discipline, but repetition is neutral. It strengthens whatever it is applied to, whether that thing is beneficial or harmful. Repetition is neutral. All right. Y'all know how much I love Psychology Today. Psychology Today says this about repetition. It says that they have long studied. Let me get it so I can get it right. Yeah, okay. Psychologists have long recognized that repetition profoundly influences how we think and what we believe. And there's a well-documented phenomenon called the illusory truth effect. I was studying this last night. And it shows that repeated statements begin to feel more believable simply because they are familiar, even when they're false. Think about that when you start thinking about social media and propaganda. I even think about it when I think about the 400 years of PR and bad marketing that has been put out there about us as Black people. It says that this illusory truth effect shows that repeated statements begin to feel more believable simply because they are familiar, even when they are false. And repetition makes information easier for the brain to process. And our minds often mistake the familiarity with truth. Okay, so this has enormous implications, y'all. It means that the conversations you repeatedly have with yourself, the messages you repeatedly consume, and the environments you repeatedly place yourself in are actively shaping your perception of reality. Okay, the question is not whether repetition is changing you, but the question I would ask you if we were in a coaching session, which you can book by going to SajdahWendyMuhammad.com, is what are you repeating? See, what you're repeating is often the blind spot. Or maybe we need to add some things in that you do repetitively. So let me give you 10 ways repetition changes your reality. And this is real simple because y'all all know this. I'm just a reminder. Number one, repetition creates belief. See, whatever it is that you repeatedly hear, whatever it is that you repeatedly read or tell yourself, eventually becomes believable. Your internal dialogue eventually becomes your internal reality. So whatever it is you hear, read, and tell yourself, okay, is impacting your brain. You start planting that in your subconscious mind. Your body starts to react to it. Okay? And now you start to get the effects of it. Whatever you repeatedly hear, read, or tell yourself. Number two, repetition builds our identity. If you repeat athletic behaviors, then you're an athlete. I remember when I was doing CrossFit and one of the coaches came over to me and started talking to me and he said, you know, as an athlete, and I was like, I'm an athlete. He said, well, you do this every day at 6 a.m. I said, oh, yeah, okay. Oh, man. Repetition builds our identity, y'all. You do not become what you occasionally do. If you occasionally act righteous, that'll make you righteous. If you occasionally lie, what does that mean? It means that you're a liar. But here's the thing. It's the behavior that you do over and over again. And that's a little oxymoron, right? Whatever you do occasionally, you do not necessarily become it. This is an interesting thing. The brain, this is how the brain recognizes it, because most of us will say, well, if you occasionally lie, then you're a liar. But guess what the brain does? Whatever you do occasionally, it doesn't make a difference. But if you do it all the time, see, the problem with a lie is that when you lie occasionally, you got other lies that you got to tell to keep up with the occasional lies. So you end up lying all the time. You become what you consistently practice. And every repeated action is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. And it could be simple little habits. If you sit up and eat pies and cakes all day, guess what? You are casting the vote for diabetes. If you're sitting up watching negative movies and films every day, all the time, guess what? It's casting a vote for who you are becoming. You start thinking that that's real. That's how the brain does. I'm gonna keep going. Number 3, repetition rewires your brain. That's where I was about to go. Modern neuroscience demonstrates that repeated thoughts and behaviors strengthen neural pathways. The brain literally becomes more efficient at whatever it practices repeatedly. So you know the things that you're doing repeatedly that are not good for you. You know the things that you're doing repeatedly that you should not be doing. Guess what? If you're still doing it and you're still procrastinating about changing the behavior, guess what? Your brain literally becomes more efficient at whatever it is that you are practicing, whether you intend to practice it or not. It's just the way the brain works. There's no spook God. All right. Number 4, repetition creates habits. Every repeated decision eventually becomes automatic. So today's intentional action becomes tomorrow's unconscious habit. Today's intentional action becomes tomorrow's unconscious habit. Number 5, repetition shapes your emotional life. So whether you repeatedly practice gratitude or peace, if you're constantly in fear, if you're always mad, if you are good at forgiveness, if you have anxiety, those emotional patterns become easier to access over time. It becomes your go-to because you program so much of your neural pathways that you can easily access them. So if you keep being in fear, being angry, and living in a life where you say, well, I don't trust. And a lot of us are at that point. But guess what? You got to trust yourself. Don't worry about if you trust them. You trust yourself. And practice the act of trusting yourself. Trust your solar plexus. Trust what the God is saying to you. Trust the messages that you are getting that tell you how to move. See, take the trust off of them and put it onto yourself. See, because it ain't about whether or not I trust you or not. Because I trust me. And I trust the God within that is connected to the source. That is always with me, always rolling with me, always looking out for me. That's where my trust is. But if I put my trust in you and start to adjust behaviors, then that is a faith issue. And I know that's a tough one sometimes for a lot of us, because number 6 tells us that repetition influences our relationships. See, what we trust, we repeat. So if you trust yourself, then you'll repeat. Let me give you an example. This is a funny one. Somebody called me and asked me if I would go with them to teach workshops in the prison. And I said, what prison? She said, a men's prison. I said, girl, are you crazy? She said, no. It's okay. You know, the way they set it up, you know, you can trust it. I said, I would trust myself. I said, and then she looked like, what? I said, are you kidding me? You want me to be in a space with 100 Black men or more, working in that kind of environment? I'm not doing that. I got to be in a free environment where I can roll. I'm not doing that. Let me tell you why. And this is how I know this is the case. So many years ago, somebody I was in a relationship with had a brother who I was close with that got locked up. And we went to go and visit him. And as we are walking down the hallway where they're taking us to go and visit him, they brought the brothers down from the basketball court, and they were walking like on the other side of this big wide hallway from us. Let me tell you something. I lost my breath. I had never seen that many beautiful Black men. I'm just talking physically. I don't know them. I'm being honest as a woman in my life, to where the line that we were in, I slowed down so much that my friend pushed me in the back of the head and said, "Girl, walk up." I said, "You got to give me a minute, because I have never seen this many God-looking men in one place in my life." And then she gonna call and say, let's go in there and teach a seminar. Now, one thing about me, I have certain behaviors in the way that I move. So I don't, I'm not a hoe. Let's say it that way. Okay. So I move a certain way because I'm all about energy, and I'm empathic, and I'm always very careful, even down to, if somebody starts to call me often, I'm very careful, okay, about the conversation and things like that. But I wouldn't put myself in that environment. And anybody that does, you must be out of your mind. That's a crazy example, but it's repetition. See, because when you work somewhere and you're going there every single day, you're going to get comfortable. You're going to get familiar. It's going to change the neural pathways in your brain. You're going to start having conversations with people. You're going to start trusting certain things about the environment. So don't put yourself in an environment where you cannot trust yourself. If you know you talk too much, then be careful. If you know that you got a drug problem, and you can't trust yourself in certain situations, then don't put yourself in that situation. See, trust is about your faith in yourself, your faith in the God within, and your faith with your connection to Almighty God. That's what the trust is about. Trust is here, not over there. I can trust you to do exactly what you do. I only know you from situation to situation. And until I've had that situation with you on a repetitive basis, I don't really know you. So to me, to put an exorbitant amount of trust on somebody to the point where you lose faith is a problem. See, repetition influences our relationship. Know yourself. Respect is something that can be repeated. Communication is something that can be repeated. Just like resentment, criticism, neglect can be repeated. Relationships are built on patterns, not isolated moments. That is a whole podcast. Anyway, number 7, repetition compounds your results. Great success rarely comes from one extraordinary moment. Sorry about the sun, y'all. I love how it feels, but I know it don't look so great. Success rarely comes from one extraordinary moment. There's no overnight successes. You've been consistently doing something that has attracted to you what you needed, whether you were doing it in the dark or you were doing it in the light, whether people saw you doing it or not. There's no overnight success. Okay? Success comes from ordinary actions performed consistently over months and years. Small disciplines become extraordinary outcomes. People always tell me, "Man, your mom is so beautiful. She looks so young." I said that it's because it's consistent disciplines and behaviors that I've seen her do my entire life. My mom been going to the gym since I don't know, gym started probably. She's been going to gym since. She's always been an athlete. So it doesn't surprise anyone when they see her. These are repeated, small disciplines that become extraordinary outcomes. Okay, number 8, repetition directs your attention. What you focus on magnifies, it manifests, right? So if you are repeating something over and over again, you are directing your attention to it. You begin noticing whatever your mind has been trained to expect, you start to notice it. When you repeatedly focus on opportunities, you'll recognize more opportunities. When you repeatedly focus on obstacles, then you will see obstacles everywhere. Everywhere. Number 9, repetition creates culture. You wonder how these culture vultures get on us? They just come to our community and look at the things that we consistently do. Repetition becomes or creates culture. Families, businesses, organizations, communities are all shaped by repeated values, traditions, language, and behaviors. Culture is simply repetition shared by a group of people. I could have so much fun on that one. We could talk about Chicago people. We can talk about Black people. We can talk about New Orleans people. We can talk about African people. Number 10, here's the last one. Repetition shapes your and my destiny. Our future is not determined by one decision, although one decision can set us in the right direction. But now our future is determined by thousands of repeated thoughts, repeated words, habits, and actions accumulated over time. Our destiny is often hidden inside our daily routine. All right. We're going to pick back up on this tomorrow because we're going to keep talking about the power of repetition and learning how to break yourself out of a pattern. If you've gotten to the point, because I hear people say, I ain't got to the point where I don't even want to talk to nobody. I done got to the point where I don't even want to go nowhere. I done got to the point where every time somebody asks me to do something that's, outside of my neighborhood, I don't even want to go. That is a pattern that you are creating. And so you got to be careful with that or be mindful, I would say, of that, because what you may be looking for may be on the other side of that negative pattern that you've created. Okay. Repetition is one of the greatest creative forces in existence. And if you are, and this is how it's interesting how the universe works, because sometimes we get so afraid of accessing that power of creativity that we actually implement disciplines that we repeat that seem harmless. But it is that very so-called harmless, repetitive behavior or that harmless, repetitive thought that is blocking us from whatever it is that we want or preventing us from hanging on to whatever it is that we have. So repetition can build faith or it can build fear. It can develop wisdom or it can develop ignorance. It can create discipline or it can create chaos and disorder. It can establish freedom or it can keep you in bondage. It can literally block you from whatever it is that you're doing. And I'll tell you a little secret of something that I do. If I'm working on something and I'm trying to really manifest, I'm the kind of person that Allah gives me big things. If I'm stuck, then I change the pattern. If I want to manifest and I want to work on something and it's just kind of not quite coming, I figure out what pattern here am I repeating on a day-to-day basis that I can change. If I get up every day and I go to my office and I go to my computer and I'm stuck on my emails and I'm stuck in these meetings and I'm doing this over and over and over again, but I'm still not really feeling like I'm accomplishing what I want to accomplish, I know I got to change that pattern. So you hear me say all the time, I love the summer because sometimes I'll just say, you know what? I'm going to the park and I'm going to do my emails in the park. I'm going to a coffee shop and I'm going to do my meetings from the coffee shop and take my ear set and I'm going to do a Zoom or Google Meets or whatever it is that I do. And I'm going to do it from a coffee shop because I'm changing up the pattern and changing what I'm repeating that may be tied to something that is subconsciously holding me back. See, for me, I get locked in. And some of us, if you're like me, sometimes you can be really stubborn. And if you're a stubborn personality or a personality that gets done quickly and you're over it and you're out of here, then that's a pattern. And that pattern might be what's holding you back. So that pattern may be locking you into a routine that you need to work on busting up or changing. Because once you bust it up or change, whatever you're looking for can come right on through. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. If you bring me on as one of your coaches, I can help you to discover these patterns and we can figure out how to create new patterns. We're not going to overly focus on the old pattern and create a pattern of thinking about the old patterns, but we're going to create some new patterns and a new rhythm. See, you got to look at life and what we want to do like a dance, like a romance. And it's what we do consistently that is impacting us. Even sometimes we think that what it is that we're doing that is harmless, it's actually what is hurting us. Okay? Because whatever you repeat, you reinforce. And whatever you reinforce, you strengthen. And whatever you strengthen, eventually becomes the reality that we live in. All right, family. So tune in tomorrow. I was trying to get done before the sun got all crazy on us, but I apologize if it's making it difficult for you to see us today. Tune in tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. We're going to continue this conversation about how repetition changes our reality. All right. Be a friend, tell a friend, make sure you support the channel, send those stars, send those gifts, and we will see you all, inshallah, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification button so that you find out when we go live and when we got powerful things happening or going on. Remember, it's not personal, it's vibrational. Come here, tune in, because love lives over here. Ain't no hating, ain't no competitiveness. It's nothing but love and healing over here. We'll see you soon tomorrow morning, inshallah, 6 a.m. Peace and blessings.